In today's economy, more people than ever are looking to buy and sell businesses. But how do you do it? Welcome to the Deal Board, presented by Transworld Business Advisors. Straight talk about real deals and real people. Listen to stories, interviews, and expert advice to help your business sale, merger, or acquisition process. Now, here are your business exit experts, Andy and JT.
Hey, you've landed on the Deal Board podcast here at Transworld Business Advisors. I'm your host, JT Jim Tatum. This is co-host
Andy Cagnetta.
Yes. And we are really excited. This episode, Andy, is Hey, Mr. Buyer. Hey, Mrs. Buyer, do this.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking today about all the things that you could do as a buyer of a business to get prepared to get yourself in the best possible position that when you find the right business, you can actually acquire it.
Yeah, you need to these days too. It is crowded out there.
Yes, a lot of people looking to buy businesses. And if you just come and play Mr. Tire Kicker, you're going to miss out on the best deals for you.
You will miss out on basically every deal.
Yes, that's right.
So,
So we're gonna walk you through a lot of the key steps that you can take. There's plenty of information out there available in the internet sphere today.
Yeah.
But we've been selling businesses for our clients and helping buyers become entrepreneurs for well over 46 years.
Yeah.
And we've got some good pointers that you can take and put in place for you. Put yourself in the best position to become an entrepreneur this year.
Yeah.
So
I think that, the kind of first step is you got to commit yourself to what you want.
Yes.
What are your deal breakers? But nothing's going to be perfect, right?
There's no such thing, I don't think, Andy, as a perfect business.
No.
There are imperfect operators.
Right.
But most businesses are really, you put the right person in, you put the right monies behind it, et cetera, you can really build something special.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking about the right criteria to have when buying a business, I kind of think in monetary terms, right? How much money do I think I can make immediately in this business?
Right.
So I'm not going to lose my investment. But then I'm thinking ahead, right, too, as far as can I grow this business with my skills?
Sure. Scalability.
Is it going to suffer from is it going to suffer from maybe my weaknesses?
My lack of skill.
Right.
In certain areas. Sure.
So I think if you can get the right criteria right, like maybe even write it down, like your goals, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, a lot of what you'll hear people saying today, if you're a buyer of a business and you're thinking about getting into this space, don't just go in it willy-nilly unprepared. Oh, I'm going to search through the internet and see if I can find some things, make a couple clicks, and then I'm prepared. No, you probably need to step back first and start with defining your search criteria. Some people call it your buy box, your deal box. Like, what is it that I'm looking for? What is it that I'm not looking for? So I don't spend any time investigating those opportunities. And there's a lot of different pointers that you could use in creating your search criteria. So
yeah.
What would be some things that you would see as a buyer? I should identify this and put it in my deal box before I start clicking on ads for businesses for sale.
It's funny. I actually had this. I actually wrote down what I wanted in a business and I handed it out to business brokers. I actually had a criteria sheet.
That's good.
And I kind of started by knocking out some industries, right?
Okay.
So I didn't want a hair salon. I didn't want a restaurant. And I wanted something that I could expand through sales.
Right.
That was kind of my initial criteria. And then I had some monetary criteria as well.
Well, you take a look at just the Transworld database of businesses for sale right now. There's over 6,000 businesses there. Not everyone is going to fit everybody.
No.
So as a buyer coming in, being able to say, well, I know I don't want those. That's usually the easiest way to start, right? It's oftentimes I'll take somebody out to lunch and they'll say, so where do you want to go? I go, well, what don't you like?
Right.
Because if I know that, I won't suggest any of those things. We could go right into what we do want. Okay. Yeah. But in structuring your deal box, I think you're right. The first thing is you should probably start with personal goals. Like, I want to be able to find a business that aligns with what I'm trying to do with my entire life. It can't be at odds with what you're trying to do.
Right.
So, what are your personal goals? What are you setting out to be able to accomplish? Does a business that you're going to purchase align with that goal? Number one. And does it align with what you want your ideal outcome to be? Whatever that outcome is. And your outcome's different than mine. And there's no right or wrong answer to it, but you need to define that.
Yeah. And I would always tell people a couple of things. The monetary thing is not the most important thing. And I know it sounds like it should be the most important thing, but I would rather buy a business that was making less, that fit me better,
Sure.
that I could expand,
Yeah.
than worried about, I need a business that makes $500,000 this year, or I need a business that makes $250,000. I'd rather buy a business that was making 50 or 100 that I think I could turn around
That you
really
can grow
quick.
into that. Yeah.
And then the other thing is, I wouldn't worry so much about what kind of business it is, that I need to think that I need to be there for the rest of my life.
Right.
Because I've seen a lot of very successful entrepreneurs go into things they didn't think they were going to enjoy or didn't think they were going to like or build, and just realize, hey, I'm going to do this for a few years. I'm going to turn it around, and then I'm going to sell it for a profit.
Yeah. And it's interesting. There are buyers out there, they do exactly that. It's kind of like flipping houses. They go in, they look for a business, sometimes a distressed business that they can get at a lower rate. They're not afraid to do the work. They know they have the skills to be able to bring it back up. And then 2 years from now, 3 years from now, they turn it around, they flip it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, the next one.
And I wouldn't worry about the price right away either, because
Right.
you and I have both been in a situation where the seller finds the right buyer and they're willing to bend over backwards for that buyer to buy it.
Right.
Lower the price, extend
Different
terms.
structure. Yeah, that's right. So as the buyer, you want to put yourself in that position that Andy just described. Where,
and we're going to talk about that right now, right?
Where the seller loves me so much, he's willing to really work with me to get me into that business.
Right.
So I think number one in the buy box is, does it align with my personal goals and my outcomes?
Right.
Okay, you want that alignment there. Number two, you do need to think about the income. It shouldn't be the only driver. Okay.
Yes.
To your point, I don't want to necessarily give up all my investment, not knowing I can get it back. Or I may be buying a business to replace an income or maybe supplement an income.
Yep.
Which of those two is it going to be? So you need to define that number. You need to define your role, what you want the role to be. So talk about that just a little bit. What do you see business sellers are currently doing? Is that going to be a good match for the buyer?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's important. I think we always talk about work making up for a lot of mistakes, right? So
right.
I think one of the mistakes that, buyers sometimes make is thinking that they're not going to have to work. So the first thing I would, as a buyer, your goal is to learn almost everything about that business when you first go in.
Especially in the beginning, even if you're not going to do all those things. But you need to know.
But you do want to look at what is going to be my role moving forward. How am I going to be able to affect the growth of this? Read the E-Myth, right? You don't want to get into the trap of working in instead of working on.
That's correct.
So I think that's the kind of business, you want to look for.
So you can identify for yourself, I want to be an owner operator. I want a business that's semi-absentee. I want an absentee business. And there are some of them out, but not that many, to be quite frank. A lot of times you'll find that folks are being coached today. You find a business that has management in place and all you're going to do is buy it and cash the checks. Okay. I'm sure there are some. The majority of the businesses that we deal with and we see in the market today, that's not the case. The reason the business got to where it is today is because that seller put a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy, and probably added some people to help do that as well. They're not just sitting there with their feet up on the desk waiting for the money to roll in every day.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, the people, right? So you might have to jump into that business. You might have to change people.
Yeah, that's right.
You may have to bring in your own team members into that. So I your aspiration is, the role is not going to be what it is 2 or 3 years from now, hopefully. But you want to see the pathway, right?
Right.
So I think you need to be flexible in that criteria of, what you want to be. I just want to cash checks and go to the beach. If you want to do that, business is probably not right for you, business ownership.
Yeah. And there are businesses out there that do that you can purchase. But here's what I see in the industry today. There are so many people telling buyers, you can go buy these positively cash flowing businesses. There's this great wealth transfer that's going to take place. We've talked about this many, many times before. Okay, the silver tsunami, et cetera. And they're being coached to go find these businesses where they can just buy the business, management in place, and I just basically get the money.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm probably doing some work. The problem is this. The majority of businesses in America don't run that way.
No.
And so you've got all of these people coming in as buyers looking in the marketplace and going, I'm going to go find that type of business. Well, you are all looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's only so many of those. So what happens when they are sold or they transfer, you got all these other businesses that are still good enterprises, but you're going to have to do some work.
Yeah. I've seen some very labor intensive businesses that have been run semi-absentee after, the owners of those businesses are really good at hiring the right people,
Right.
and giving them and controlling them. I don't want to say controlling
Yeah.
them, basically overseeing.
Right.
They're good leaders.
Yes.
And they're good at holding people accountable.
Right.
And so the people that run those types of businesses, in fact, I have a friend who owns multiple restaurants, and he gets away with it because he has management
That's the right
in
people
place,
Yeah.
and he oversees it. He manages those people to his goals.
Right. Right. That's
So
good.
you can do it.
You can build a team. And there
Right.
are businesses out there that have that, but there's also many more businesses that don't.
Right.
Don't overlook those. Those
No.
could be diamonds in the rough for you
No.
if you're willing to get your hands dirty and jump in there. a
No,
little bit.
I think it comes down to, like, what kind of business can I grow it eventually?
Yeah.
Do I have the money to buy it right now? Do I have the acquisition
Okay.
capital?
Good.
Right.
Yes.
So, I talked about don't worry about the price, but you still have to worry about the acquisition.
But you got to worry about the
capital,
price.
right?
Yes.
And you're right. Am I going to go broke in the first year running this thing?
Right.
So you got to worry about your income at home.
Yes.
And
Covering
'cause
those expenses.
You got to
having
remember.
capital.
You got to. I almost went broke in the first year I had Transworld because, I could cash flow Transworld, but I wasn't cash flowing
Oh, you
me.
got to play at home. Yeah, you got some expenses you got to cover there.
Yeah.
So we also have to talk about geography. Where do you
Right.
want to own the business? You got to think about that as you start
Not far
researching.
away.
Nope. And then industry that you want to be in. We said
Right.
in the beginning, you can decide first what I don't want to be in, but then
Right.
you're going to want to narrow down. Like a lot of people will come and say, I'm industry agnostic. I'll look at any business. And then you start putting businesses in front of them. Well, I don't really like that. I don't really
Right.
like that. Listen, here's what's going to happen. If you're a buyer dealing with brokers and you come in and you're not clear on that, they're only going to do that for a certain period of time.
Right.
And they're going to go, this gal's not really serious about doing anything. I'm moving on to the next buyer.
Right.
Don't do that to yourself. Get a little bit specific in the beginning. What about your
That runs right into your second point that we were going to bring up.
which is how to break? Let me get there in a
Okay,
second.
okay.
Okay. You also need to think about your own know-how. What do you know how to do?
Yes.
Is there a natural fit or a complementary industry to what you either have experience in already, what you really enjoy or like doing?
Yes.
That should be part of your consideration. And then we did talk just briefly about the cash flow. And you just mentioned it, right? I got to have enough money left over for debt service. If I'm going to not be a cash buyer, which many of you aren't looking to
No.
be, you're hearing, you can buy a business for little to no money down, or you get an equity partner who's going to, put
Right.
10% down, whatever the case is, and then you're going to pay them back. That's all fine. There are deal structures like that will work, but you're going to have to be able to make that debt service payment,
Yeah.
whether it's to a bank or to an investor, whatever the case is. How much money is left over for growth? Can I scale the business? I need capital to do that. And can I cover my expenses at home? You
Correct.
mentioned that before. And then the last piece there, I think, is thinking about what is the price and how much money do you have set aside
Yes.
for the investment, for the deposit, the down payment. There's going to be closing costs, things that you're going to need to consider. And the time to consider that is before you click on tell me more.
Yeah. Again, almost getting into our second point but you have to know how much money you have available, and you have to have that money available. The answer that my uncle is going to give it to me if I find the right deal is not going
No.
to be attractive to anybody, including the seller.
And definitely not the seller and even the broker again, because
Right.
the brokers are getting, you got a new listing comes into the marketplace, and some of you are looking for businesses off market. They haven't even come to the market yet. As soon as that business hits, there's going to be an influx of buyers.
Right.
You got to put yourself head and shoulders above all the other people who are coming
Right.
in. And one of those things is you're going to probably need to present a personal financial statement. Where's the money coming from?
Mhm.
How do you plan on how do you plan on covering the expense of the business? How are you
Yeah.
going to purchase the
Down
business when you
payment.
find the right one? What's the
Right.
down payment you got set aside? And it can't be shekels, it can't be shrimp, it can't be what Uncle
No.
Shemp is going to get me. No,
No.
exactly. So let's talk about how do you better work with a broker to access the best opportunities. Don't go looking for the unicorn.
No. If you call me and say I want a business that's absentee, that has recurring
The unicorn,
revenues,
yes.
that's in IT or some sort of growth company, I want to buy something for $200,000 and it's AI driven. I mean, it's not
Get in
available.
line.
right?
It's the same line as you're going to get in if I want the laundromat, I want
someone
the
who's
storage facility. Yeah.
retiring, someone. There's all those businesses out there. They're just not the same business.
That's right. That's right. So how do you come prepared as a buyer for presenting yourself to the broker? Hey, and we just kind of talked about, I have my deal box already.
right.
Like, Your office gets them. Our office gets them. I'm looking for this type of business. We get those emails all the time. Great. Now I know what you're looking for. What else do they need to do?
They need, so for people to impress me as a buyer, number one, they should come to our office. They should like meet me in person. Want really to buy a business, have a plan for that money, know exactly how much money they have, maybe even have a resume or,
Good.
like the buyer resume put together with their criteria. And it not be completely ridiculous, and basically say they are willing to work. You have to say, I want to buy a business. We always say, this is not a looking to buy a business process. This is a buying.
I'm buying a business right.
process.
Yes, yes.
So if somebody came to me and they're ready to rock, and I love people that come to me that have already shopped. They're like, listen, I saw this business on Biz Buy Sell.
Right.
I saw this on Businesses for Sale. I saw this franchise opportunity. I saw this vending opportunity, like all these things. Can I talk to you about this list of businesses that I've already seen?
Right, right. And if you are a buyer and you go and connect with the broker, what you don't want to do is start clicking on all of those different ads yourself and then go find a broker to say, hey, can you represent me? Because once you've connected to the broker who's listed it, they're now going to be looking to be the broker that handles the whole transaction.
You should try to work with one broker at all possible. I tell, my brother-in-law, my brother, my friends that have all bought businesses from me, to run by every opportunity that you're looking at. I will chase it down for you, and I will see if the other broker is willing to work with me. If not, I will send you on your way to look at that business if I happen to think it's a good business.
If it's worth them investigating. Good. That's good. And then, how do I professionally show up for a tour? Like I'm the buyer. I've connected with the broker and the broker says, yes, here's my NDA. Got to be prepared to fill one of those out. If you want confidential information, you're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
And if you want financials from the business, you're going to have to provide financials from you.
Yes.
You can't say, well, I want to see all of his books and records, but I'm not going to show if I have any money to actually buy the business. You're not showing up ready for the broker, and you're not showing up fully prepared for the tour with the seller. I think with the seller, it's kind of like, it's as much about you impressing them as it is them impressing you.
I think this is one of the most important points of this podcast right here. For a buyer, number one, dress professionally.
Right.
You have to look the part.
Right. This is the first date.
It is a first date.
On.
It is a first date. You should show up professionally. You should have something to write on.
Yep.
You should have your questions prepared. And ready to go through them. Yes, you can have the general conversation first. And I've seen this happen a lot where you have a whole conversation and the buyer says, hey, wait a minute, let me go through my questions, make sure we covered everything.
Right. That's perfect. And a lot of times, if the broker's doing a good job with the seller, they've prepared them for what a lot of these questions are going to be.
Right.
They may have even answered a lot of them in the initial confidential information memo or an executive summary that you received.
And I always prepare my sellers that they know the buyers have probably seen all the information they're going to ask you about already.
Right.
They're just checking your story.
And they want to hear it from you.
They want to hear it from you.
That's right. They do.
They know why you're selling because it's on the confidential information memorandum or it's on the BLI, whatever you want to call it. And they already know the financials and they already know, but they want to hear it from you.
Right.
They want to hear your story.
Yes.
And but the sellers want to know that they're selling to someone who's competent. Most businesses, a vast majority of them do have some sort of seller financing.
Mm-hmm.
If not, there's reps and warranties that the seller have to live by after the sale that might come back to haunt them if the buyer is bad for some reason.
Right.
And of course, they're maybe leaving behind their cherished employees and things like that.
And cherished customers. They got relationships with vendors and customers and employees and all those other ones. And you really just have to think about it like this. Look, you're going to say to the seller, I'm considering buying your business. I'd like to be considered for buying the business, which is a different angle than I'm here to buy the business, impress me or wow me and show me why I should buy it. There should be some of that. There should be enough information there that gets you excited. But if you're dealing with a seller who's been running this business for 15, 20 years, it's kind of like seeing their kid get married.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I know you just recently did that in the last week or so, right? They're not going to hand the business off to just any schmo that comes along. They got to feel good that you're going to be able to be there for the training and the transition. You're going to continue on the legacy. And if you are going to ask for seller financing, they better like you and feel confident and see your personal financial statement and your credit score, because you're asking them to be the bank.
Right.
And they're not just going to do that easily.
Yeah. I'm going through a deal right now where the buyers just happen to be really good guys, and I knew they were going to impress the seller. And as soon as we left that meeting, the seller said, "How do we sell to those guys?" Yeah.
Yep. They can tell when they're the right person. Yeah. So now you've got the right business. You've prepared yourself the right way. You found a good broker. You're working with them. You're looking at certain businesses. You've had your buyer seller tour. You want to put in an offer,
right?
Which is that position that you're in there. They're like, well, how do I sell to them? Or the buyer's going, okay, what do I do next? I really like it. So how do you put together the right, serious, clean offer? What does it look like?
I think it looks like a real agreement, a real contract. And, we talk about a lot about LOIs and stuff. These little simple LOIs leave a lot to, in fact, I just brought an LOI to a $4 million deal. And the seller's response was, well, you didn't talk about the lease. You didn't talk about this. You didn't talk about that. I don't know who these guys are. Call me when they're serious.
Yep. Right. Because you don't look serious. Okay.
Right.
It's a templated thing. You found it on Google or somebody gave it to you and, hey, just use this. It's even worse when it's an indication of interest. Let me do an IOI. Well, I got news for you. You clicked on the ad. You've already shown me indication of interest. Right. I don't need you to write that down. The LOI oftentimes just leaves out a lot of information. Right. So ideally, again, there's other buyers maybe putting in LOIs. You want to put your head and shoulders above them. Do an asset purchase agreement.
Right.
Commit to it. Like, you don't go to buy a house and go, well, I want to do an LOI on the purchase price. No, you fill out a contract. You put an offer in. That's what you do. And that offer is going to have certain structure to it. There's going to be certain things you got to tick the box.
Right.
The first has to be, how much are you offering? What's the price? The second has to be, how much of a deposit are you putting down?
Right.
Like, when was the last time somebody bought a house and they didn't put a deposit in escrow?
Right.
That doesn't happen. So you want to be seen as a serious buyer, put some money in an escrow account. The seller's not getting it. It's not going into his or her account.
It could be with your attorney.
It could be with your attorney, but it's held to the side and you're saying, look, I'm serious enough that I'm willing to put a little money forward to make that happen.
So that helps.
Yes. Talk about structure. Should that be part of the agreement?
Yes.
Or the offer?
Yes. The structure, when it's going to close, how long do you want due diligence? All these things matter. And that's why having the right team together, and which we're going to talk about later on, in another episode. But you want to make sure that you have the right team to put the deal together and show that you're serious, that you have everything set up, ready to go, and your offer's clean. It talks about assuming the lease. It talks about the non-compete. It talks about any earnouts or any liabilities that you're going to assume. It's comprehensive. That way, it doesn't leave a lot to chance. Most of these asset purchase agreements don't bind the buyer until due diligence is over.
That's right.
They bind the seller.
Right.
And
that's what most buyers want. As a buyer, you do an LOI, and most of the stuff that's on the LOI is non-binding, except for you get to the very end and you say everything's not binding except for the exclusivity clause, which means I want to tell the seller, take it off the market for the next 90 days while I do due diligence, and you can't talk to anybody else. Most sellers are not going to want to do that.
No.
They're going to say, if you want me to do that, then make me an offer in a contract, not just, I think I might want to buy it, and then 90 days later you change your mind. That's not going to work. So the price, how much you're going to put down, the deal structure, is there seller financing involved? Right. Are you going to a bank to get the lending? That's an important part of what we have to take a look at. You mentioned due diligence period. How long is that good for? If you're buying a Main Street business, that might be 10, 15, might be 30 days. You're not buying BMW. You don't need 90 days of due diligence, okay? The shorter period, the better. That's all part of what a seller is going to compare. If he's got two offers, this one's due diligence for 30 days, this one's 90, I'm going to look at the 30-day guy first.
Right. The best buyer, we always tell the sellers, is the one that's going to close.
That's right.
And so showing that you have a process, showing that you're going to be expedient, showing that you're motivated and that you're going to work with your partners and your accountant, you have them all ready to go, including the lender, and you're
Yes.
going to get this done in the shortest time possible.
Yes.
Is what the sellers
That's
wanna
what the
hear.
seller's looking for. And, you know, as a buyer, many people want the LOI because it gives them certain protections.
Right.
Well, the asset purchase agreement is the one we use.
Right.
Okay. Standard has due diligence. And if during due diligence, for whatever reason, you change your mind, doesn't look right, feel right, smell right, I'm out.
Right.
You get your deposit back, the deal dies. It's okay.
Right.
You've got a built-in safety net, number one. Number two, the location. If there's a lease involved, can it be transferred, assigned, a new lease?
Yep.
Okay. That's part of what we have to do. That's your safety net, number two. And number three, there's a financing contingency.
There is.
If you're getting a bank loan and the bank doesn't finance it, just like in real estate, the deal can be canceled and you can just walk away, get your deposit back. So those are all structured as part of the offer paperwork that we put together, but it's an agreement.
You could drive a truck through it if you're on the buy side usually.
Pretty much.
So
And
it's good.
And you know that, are there anything else? Do you have to get a visa? Are you looking for franchisor approval? Are there other pieces that you need to make sure you address? And the most important one that I see too, when's the closing date?
Right.
Number one. And if you make an offer, how long is the offer good for? I get LOIs with no expiration on them. So the seller's like, well, I don't have to respond to this because it's not only, it's good for forever.
Let's see what else comes in the next month.
Exactly. So you want to put yourself in a position where the seller has to make a decision based on your offer.
2 days, maybe 3.
Maybe 3. And the same thing. And you may make an offer to them and they may counter you and they're going to give you 2 days, maybe 3 to make your decision on the counter offer. So what about getting lenders involved? Should they do that ahead of time?
Yes.
Yes. That was quick.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and there's so many great partners we have that are willing to pre-qualify buyers.
Oh, get screened ahead of time.
Yes.
Okay.
And much like getting a mortgage, show that you're qualified, show that they've checked your credit score, show that you have the ability to leverage into the deal, show that you don't have any past bankruptcies or criminal.
Right. Do you have a house? Because the bank's going to want to look at that as collateral. Do you have any other outstanding debt? What's your debt to income ratio? All those things pre-screening there, they can then address, hey, you're probably going to need to clean this up. You're going to need to do that. And then when you go to a broker and or a seller, you can say, look, I've got this pre-screened letter from the bank. They've already approved me. That puts you in a much better position. Local banks tend not to want to do that. They'll say, bring me a deal and then I'll tell you whether or not I can screen you. That's not going to help you.
Please use a lender that understands, if you're doing an SBA loan, how to get it done. And they do this all the time. They probably only do this.
That's the key point right there, Andy. You want an SBA lender that is an SBA lender.
Right.
Like they're not, we do SBA, but we also do boat loans and motorcycles. No. I want somebody who is a PLP partner.
Right.
And they know SBA and they know how to get the deal across the line.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay. And then how disciplined should they be as a buyer to move from the offer to close faster?
They need to be the quarterback of the deal. They need to get advice, but make business decisions. So, my brother is an attorney and his famous line to me is, Andy, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And I always say, well, thank you for that advice, but you're not me.
Right.
I'm more of a risk taker than you. And you have to realize that as an entrepreneur, you're going to be the risk taker.
Right.
And you're going to have to look at your financial and CPA and accountants and attorneys and basically tell them, yeah, I got your advice. I know it's not exactly right, but we're moving forward.
And I think that's a key point, especially with the attorneys, because the attorneys are going to want to prove their mettle,
right?
What their worth is. Okay. And as the buyer, you're the one in command.
Yeah.
So if you and the seller and the broker have agreed on these are the deal terms, and we've got this agreement in place, and you take it to your attorney, and the attorney's like, well, I think we should renegotiate that. No. We've already agreed on all that stuff. The attorney's role is to make sure that you're protected. Okay. They should have your best interest at heart, but we're not going backwards. We have to work forward to get the deal done. So when you choose the attorney, you don't want an immigration attorney unless you're immigrating. You don't want a divorce attorney, a family law attorney,
a litigation attorney.
No. Yeah, you want a guy who's going to want to fight all the time.
Right.
That's not what you want. You want a business transaction attorney who understands, I'm trying to get this deal done.
Yeah. Try to
Protect
get
me
a
and help me get
project
there.
cost from them and
Up front.
Up front.
Yes.
And then just drive. And number two is just make sure that these professionals, whether it's a CPA or an attorney, you look at them in the eye and say, do you have the time to do this and get
Dedicate
this
to it.
done?
Yep. Because we got a timeline we're working on. We have a closing date we're pushing towards.
Yes.
So there's a lot there. You go back and watch this again and take a notepad with you when you do it, because you're going to want to build your deal box. You're going to want to get pre-screened. You're going to want to think about how am I going to put the offer together. You might need to go out, buy a new suit, jacket, whatever, so that when you meet the seller, you give a good first impression.
Yes.
A lot of really good nuggets there, Andy.
Yes. A lot of good nuggets.
Yes.
And again, we, as always, we're trying to teach our people about the marketplace. So we have a
Deal of the week
and a listing of the week.
That's right. So stay tuned for more.
Hey, Andy, do you know what time it is?
What time?
It's time for Deal of the Week.
Ring the bell.
Hey, this is Chip in Orlando. We currently have a deal of the week. We recently sold a molecular testing lab here in Central Florida for $575,000. The buyers came into this non-operating lab and saw value in the billing, the certifications, the testing, and the equipment. Sellers are now able to go off and manufacture some items for the medical industry. Buyers are able now to come in, bring that lab back to life, start billing immediately, and move on with their medical plans here in the Central Florida and Florida areas. I am Chip Redmond. You can reach me at chip@tworld.com, or you can call me on my cell phone at 321-299-6867.
Hey, JT, do you know what time it is?
Money time?
Almost. It's time for listing of the week.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It is Listing of the Week, and I am with Jonathan Che from Transworld Business Advisors of so many places. Oregon, LA, Ohio, lots of places. So, Jonathan, you got a lot of listings. You're here to tell us about one of them.
Yeah, it's one of our newer ones. It is a devices manufacturing business. They make sensors. And that's all I can say. But they have about $4.5 million in top line. Their gross margins are terrific. And their net income is about $1 million, $1.1 million, depending on the year. So very consistent business. We'll see how the tariffs affect them.
Right.
But we just got this listing, and we hope to get it out in the market in about a week or two.
This is pre-market, so you don't quite have a price on it because you're going out for bid, basically.
Exactly. We're going to go out for bid. So
All right.
we hope to get a lot of interest, and we think that we will.
I think you will too.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, sounds like a great business. Jonathan, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
You could call me at area code 626-788-7841 or email me at jchoe@tworld.com.
Excellent. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the show today. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends on social media. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcasting app. If you have questions, would like to appear, or have suggestions for topics for the show, get in contact with us through our website, thedealboardpodcast.com.